right, we are continually walking through the journey of honing in on some characteristics of David, and today's devotion is titled David, a Man of Courage and Kindness. And we're on day 347 if you are journeying along on the numerical journey of 365 days, or if you are following along on the calendar, we're on December the 13th. And today's morning rinse is 2 Samuel 6 through 9. And the featured verses include 2 Samuel 7, 27 through 28. For you, O Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, have made a revelation to your servant, saying, I will build you a house. Therefore your servant has found courage to pray this prayer to you. Now, O Lord, you are God, and your words are true, and you have promised this good thing to your servant. You know how I have talked about David being a champion and how that champions are formed or birthed in the pasture, not necessarily on the battlefield per se. And when I think of a champion or a warrior, I instantly think of someone who conquers against an enemy, whether on a tangible battlefield or in a prayer closet. And I know that they're formed prior to that, but I do think that they manifest a lot in the battlefield or even in a prayer closet, and people know that they are prayer warriors. And it has been easy to establish King David as this type of individual for the nation of Israel. Champions must become experts at pushing past fear and fighting their battles. David had courage to protect his father's sheep, and he had courage to fight Goliath, and he had courage when thousands of Philistine troops surrounded him with their war cry. But what about having courage to fight for his own heart? He yearned to construct a monumental house of worship for the ark, as it was this much needed place for God's presence to dwell. And he yearned for that in his heart. But God said no. David learned it would not be his calling to build it, but instead it would be his son's mission to complete what was in his heart. And it can be hard when we are told no, and yet David did not fight for this desire. Instead, he fought for a courageous heart to trust God's answer. Now, isn't that amazing? He had to fight to believe God was doing something bigger with his legacy by saying no to him. You know, it was in his heart. And instead of fighting and saying, God, I want to do this. This is in my heart. He instead fought for the courage to trust God's answer in the no. Another of David's character traits from today's morning rinse was his kindness. So we have that courage, and then what we read about was his kindness. David discovered that Saul's grandson, Jonathan's son, Mephibosheth, was still alive. Mephibosheth was not able to fight actually on the battlefield like most men were expected to do. And it was because of his inability to walk. And this kept him home during the war that actually killed his father, his uncles, his grandfather, and probably all the men in his family line. And these deaths resulted in Saul's lineage losing their property and many of their belongings. Now, Mephibosheth's inability to walk may have actually been a hard thing to live with, but it saved his life and was also used to restore their family-owned land. Now, David brought him into the palace and granted him a lifetime seat at his table, instituting provision for his family and for his servants, including restoring all of Saul's property back into his family line. Now, this act of kindness confirmed the covenant of Jonathan and David's seed being established forever. David showed Mephibosheth's kindness, And not because of an obligation to Saul, but out of a love for Saul's lineage and out of a love for God's plan. He did not allow bitterness towards Saul to take root in his heart, but instead, he let kindness reign. I love this about David. And how many times have we, had the opportunity to, no matter what people do to us or treat us, even Saul, in his mission to kill David, David still wanted to show Mephibosheth kindness, and he still felt an obligation to Saul to protect and to bring back Saul's lineage and to bring about God's plan. And I look at that and I'm like, yes, that probably had some courage in it, but the root of that is kindness and trust. And he was a warrior at heart, but yet he was kind. He was courage when he needed to be courageous, and he was kind when he needed to be kind. And to honor Mephibosheth with a seat at his table for the rest of his life was so amazing and honoring, even though his lineage, his grandfather sought to kill him. But his love for God's plan and his love for Jonathan and his love for the lineage and what that meant was also important. And I just am amazed at David's heart in all of this. So today's challenge to dig deeper is to ask yourself, which of these two character traits, courage or kindness, speak to you today? Is there an opportunity in your life that provides you with a chance to grow in either of these areas? And as we are growing in courage and kindness and just spotlighting a few of these characteristics every single day about David, let God speak to you about each one and ask God, is there something in my life that I need to be courageous about? Is there something in my life that I need to be more kind about? What could that possibly be? What could that be that I can learn from, that I can hone in on, and make that be a prayer for you today. Make that be a mission for you to just focus on those two characteristics today, courageousness and kindness. When you pull out your journal tonight and when you're reflecting on anything that God has spoken to you about regarding these two characteristic traits, what did God show you? Was there anything about your life, about having courage or kindness, that he is honing in on and tweaking and building up? And did you have an opportunity today to be kind to someone? Or did you have an opportunity to have a little bit more courage in some of the decisions that you are making today? David is such an amazing example of this and how he treats people. And despite a family that had a story to tell about someone in their lineage trying to kill him. But I'm so glad that he was kind to Mephibosheth and giving him the opportunity to get all of the legacy back, all of the land and the property back, even though he could not fight on the battlefield. His inability to walk saved his life and saved that legacy and saved that lineage story. And I love that about this morning rinse today and some of the things that we read about today. I hope that you are encouraged and that you got some insight into it. And I'm going to be having a couple of guests on throughout this story of David. And I look forward to hearing what they have to say regarding it. And I look forward to having you hear what some of those guests are, and tomorrow will be the first. And so enjoy, and I look forward to you hearing some more of the things that we learn about David. And so until tomorrow, keep rinsing, reflecting, and repeating. God bless you.